The earth will be I forgot inhabited.
Inhabited. Uninhabited.
I don't know, whatever it's called.
And his question is, Zechariah 14, 16, and 17 seems to contradict with what you taught about how Satan will be
on earth,
locked away in the abyss or whatever.
Okay.
And at the same time, while the believers will be with God for 1,000 years.
Okay. Okay, so let's read this first. Well, actually, first, Jeremiah 4, Jeremiah 25, Isaiah 24, all state that the earth will be desolate during the day of the Lord, or while after the day of the Lord. And now this is what the guy was saying. It says, "And it shall come to pass that everyone that is left of all nations which came against Jerusalem," so those who came against Jerusalem, those who are left from those nations, shall even go up from year to year to worship the King, the Lord of hosts, and to keep the feast of the tabernacle. So, okay, so let's say that this is, okay, let's say my hand is one of the nations that went against Jerusalem, and we know spiritually Jerusalem is the church. So it says that everyone, so those who are left from those nations, from the nation as a whole who went against Jerusalem, those who are left are going to be the ones who worship God, right?
Yep.
So that's what it's saying here, right?
Yeah.
And it shall come to pass that every one that is left of all the nations which came against Jerusalem shall even go up from year to year to worship the King, the Lord of hosts, and to keep the feast of tabernacle. No contradiction there yet, right? Because it doesn't talk about the 1,000 years, right? So no contradiction there yet. And it shall be that whoso will not come up of all the families of the earth unto Jerusalem to worship the King, the Lord of hosts, even or the King, the Lord of hosts, even upon them shall be no rain. So those families, if they don't go to worship the King, there will be no rain for them. Okay, so now there are a couple questions we got to ask. Where in the timeline is this? Right, we're not sure, because
from where we read, we're not sure.
From where we read, we're not sure. But if you read the whole chapter, it talks about, and in verse 15 it talks about, "And so shall be the plague of the horse, of the mule, and the camel, and of the ass," that's the word, "and of all the beasts that shall," I don't normally say that, "and of all the beasts that shall be in these tents, as this plague." So it talks about the plagues now, before it talks about all these, right? So, but we're still not sure about the timeline, because just because it talks about the plagues doesn't mean that we can put the timeline during the 1,000 years, or before the 1,000 years, or after the 1,000 years.
Right.
From my understanding, this is just my understanding. From my understanding, this is talking about after the 1,000 years. It says that those who are left from the nations who went against Jerusalem, so the remnants of those nations, the ones who did worship God, are going to be the ones who are left, because they're not going to have part in the plagues because they worship God, right? Only those who have part in, or only those who don't worship God are going to be the ones who have part in the plagues. And so those who are left that were part of the nations but did not go against Jerusalem are going to be the ones who are going to year by year go and worship God and keep the Feast of the Tabernacles, right? Or do you have a different take?
Well, then here's, because I think that's what he was saying. That doesn't make sense because of verse 17. How can there be families that are alive to receive no rain?
Okay, so then it says, "And it shall be that whoso will not come up," that's if they don't right? But we already know that no one's gonna, in the new Jerusalem and in the new earth, no one's gonna do this. But
Right.
if they do, this is what's gonna happen. And it shall be that whoso will not come up of all the families of the earth unto Jerusalem to worship the King, the Lord of hosts, even upon them shall be no rain. Right? That's what's going to happen to them who don't worship God. Right? Are you getting what I'm saying?
Yeah.
But we already know that if it's after the 1,000 years, no one's going to do that. Do you get what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Does that make
I do.
sense?
Okay, so here is another question then.
Okay.
Let me know if this also could make sense.
Okay.
Right, because it talks about the plagues.
Mhm.
Could this be going on during the plagues?
Yeah.
So before the 1,000 years,
Yeah.
and meaning that at that time, then that's when judgment's happening,
Mhm.
and those that are the remnant, they're going to continue doing what they've been doing,
Mhm.
right? While the other ones that are left are going to suffer from all of these plagues.
Mhm.
And so, and then if you read here, it says, "This shall be the punishment of Egypt."
Mm.
And then if we remember that, they were suffering from all the plagues while the remnant was kept safe.
Right. Yeah.
And so instead of
True.
being, they're worshiping during 1,000 years, could it be they're worshiping in their safe place, just like the Israelites did when Egypt got all their plagues.
True.
And so could this fit in that part of the timeline?
That could fit too. But see, that could fit too. But see, that's the thing. We don't know where this is. We don't know what the timeline is, right? So that could fit as well. But the two things that we know is that there is going to be a 1,000 year reign, and the earth is going to be desolate. That's going to be. Those are the two things that we know for a fact, because we read those in the verses or the chapter or the books that I was talking about.
Right.
This though, like we can't say that this contradicts that, because then
Right.
we have to look at everything in perspective. So
both still hold true to the fact that during the 1,000 reign, the earth is going to be desolate.
right,
Because there's no definitive fact of when this is happening.
right,
Because you said it could happen during the 1,000 reign, but then we also showed it could also be studied out as, this is happening during the plague. And if it's happening during the plague, this doesn't help solidify the fact that
Right.
there is a desolate,
right.
or there's no contradiction.
Right.
So either way, depending on how you look at it, you can't use it to show that the earth won't be desolate during the
Right.
1,000 years.
yeah, this is it's not very clear in these two verses what the point that the guy was trying to make in the Facebook message or messenger.
So hopefully that cleared that up with you. You got to figure out when in the timeline of prophecy is this happening, and study that out and share it with us so we can share it with everyone else, and we can have a part 2 of this,
Right.
and we can learn together. So
Yeah.
thank you for that question, because it's a deep question.
Faith is the way to eternal life. Pride is the key to my demise. But you know, no, you know.